Are we on, Jackson? Okay. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Around the Fort. It's kind of a game night, Northeast Indiana game night preview show, if you will, where we break down all the high school football games in Northeast Indiana. It is week 8 of the 2025 season. That's hard to believe. Finally, it feels like fall after
Ish.
Yeah, I suppose I saw the forecast for next week. It looks like summer's making a comeback again. But this week for sure, it feels like football. And I've got some football lovers down here in the cave with me. Across from me is Jackson Geiger. Jackson, welcome back. Again, no microphone for Jackson. That's something in the budget for next year. We got to get Jackson a voice once in a while so we can hear from him now and then. I've got Jake the Snake Smith over here. 2 weeks in a row, Jake. I feel like
things
really
are
privileged.
good. I've been fighting a state of depression since the Guardians are out of the playoffs now. Our 7th grade Eagles lost to New Haven, ruining our perfect season. We are still in the playoff hunt, so I will hopefully get happier. And if you can't get happier, go to your local Five Lakes, a sponsor of the show, and get yourself a bag of Happy Brew
Well
or
done.
Angry Brew, depending. 300 milligrams of caffeine goodness per cup for 8 ounces. And tell them the Snake sent you. They'd love to hear from you. And that's what gets me happy. And we're still in the playoff hunt. We're still here. We're good. My dad's doing well. Happy to be here, boys.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Dad, glad you're doing well. Hopefully you're tuning in. And Daniel Jones is actually doing pretty good for the Colts. I
My
understand.
father woke up out of a coma to realize Daniel Jones learned how to throw the football. It's wild.
Thought he was asleep
Wild.
for a decade.
Yeah, 9 weeks out, and he's like, "Wow, the Colts are a football team." Well, I'm just as shocked as you are, Pop.
That's good stuff. Well, if your baseball team were still the Indians, they might still be alive, but that's
Agreed.
another subject for another day. Pete Kempf is joining us as well. This is his second time back. I thought after the last time, perhaps he would never come back, but we guilted him, and he's back again. Pete, welcome back to the cave.
Way to cover up your desperation.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Please, can you make it?
No, I'm so thankful to be. I don't know how I could back up like the plug for that and the Five Lakes. I'm more of an Angry Brew guy. I think it's time.
Oh yes, I'm with it. I'm with it.
No, the last bag he gave me here is in my grinder right now. A little bit of French press. No,
I saw that.
Nice.
I'm going to take the 300 milligrams of caffeine and go pinky up with it. Right.
Excellent.
Plus, my wife doesn't like the dark coffee, so I got to make my own. Really, what a week for me. Talk about family. So, 30 seconds. So my son, for people that don't know that kind of story, when he was born, he couldn't walk. He had a leg deformity. On Wednesday, he went through the Alex Smith lower limb reconstruction. So if you're a family football, we got a picture of him in an Alex Smith jersey, and he had the
cool.
fixator on. Cool story. The dude just ran his first mile competition on Wednesday.
What?
Your little guy?
Little guy. And it was super slow.
What's his name?
Outstanding.
So I'm Pete Kemp the 6th. He's Pete Kemp the 7th.
All right, PK
Very
the
cool.
7th.
So,
Congratulations,
all the
buddy.
middle name, so unofficial.
That's great, man.
But
yeah.
For like 14 minutes, 11 seconds, he got 50th place out of 70 for the DeKalb Central Elementary cross country course. It was a mile, but we'll take it. So big win there. In a lighter note, I got to see the Bush Bowl last night with a couple brothers playing on the NCAA 26. They hit the over at like 140 points. It was a horrible game to watch. My guy Tony D'Amato Jr., head coach of the Oklahoma State Okies, has a big matchup tonight against Michigan. So that's coming up after this at 9:30. If anybody really cares about online football dynasties for my brothers, but so life is good. Good friends, good football, good stories.
Heck yeah.
Good work. Just good everywhere I look. my
Amen
brother.
to all of that.
Hey,
Well,
hey.
congratulations to your son. That's really cool.
I
Big
know.
congrats.
Awesome.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just showed up and got to laugh and cry at the same time. Like, what do you do? I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, don't cry in public. Don't cry in public.
Right.
Like, he's already soft enough.
That's monumental and good for him and for your family. I love hearing that story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm glad I could say it.
let's dive into the rag if we can. Jackson, just so everybody knows, Jackson collects goats, kind of like Coach Randy Hudgens. Coach collects cats, and former Columbus City coach. I understand he's a cat collector, but Jackson loves goats, and I'm still trying to adopt him. We're working out the all the logistics and the paperwork, but we're putting a pen in out back with the goats. So they're all upstairs with Archie and Annie out back, smoking cigars, having a great time. But rest assured, all you animal lovers, they are being well kept. All right, that's enough of that.
Pro-
Let's get into
pro
the cover.
PETA here.
Pro PETA.
Very pro PETA. All right, let's talk briefly about this cover. Quick shout out to JVP, Jaden Van Pelt, who's our player of the week. A lot of great candidates last week, but we went with Jaden. Man, he's a player, and I'm really excited about the matchup this week against that Northrop. Both sides, because remember, Jaden plays both sides of the ball too.
Yep.
Him against probably Quay Guilford, I'm guessing, down there, and then on the other side of the ball, probably D. Hogue against Jaden Van Pelt. But we'll talk about that in a moment.
Best route runner in the area.
He's really good. I love this cover. Again, quick shout out to Taylor Hauenstein. You never know what he and Reggie are going to put together. I always kind of come up with the headlines and select some of the art, and then they make it come to life. And this A Tiger's Tale, really, really, really cool cover. Drove through there this evening before the show and dropped off game nights down in Bluffton. And man, you talk about a community that's ready. You could feel like they're about ready to bust. And I think tomorrow night down in B-Town is going to be a classic. And we'll talk about that game here as well. Guys, any thoughts on this cover? Fun? Do you like it?
Yeah. So history major, right? Taught U.S. history, world history.
Yep.
Like just seeing the art was really cool. The medieval like that. I thought that was fun.
Yes.
That was
Thank
probably
you.
the coolest one I've seen this year.
Yep. And the Alex Meckling kid had the eye black with the crosses.
Nice.
Kind of, matched, the theme. I mean, it was all accidental, but
you say that it was all planned.
yeah, for sure. And there's a little skull there with a crown bottom left, which is kind of badassery too. I was happy to see that.
Halloween
So
cover.
no, great cover. So thank you to Taylor and then thank you, Jackson, for putting it out there. Page 2. If you want to read some really bad prose, there's a column there by me, Casey O'Boyle. Just talking a little bit about faith in general, but also some of the programs, especially in the SAC. You think about, the dichotomy of of winning and losing in a season. You got Concordia that staring 0-7. They're down 14-6 on the road and in the fourth quarter, and they find a way to come back and win. They got a stack of B. Antonio's pizza on Tuesday, so hopefully
cool.
they don't have a food hangover this week. But I know they enjoyed that, and you always you never like to see anybody go over in a season, right? These kids work their tails off, and to taste victory, I think, is so important. And then you think of some of the other schools. You think about Northrop that has just been owned by Snyder through the years. I mean, hadn't beaten them since 1999, 27 consecutive losses. That's, to me, not a rivalry anymore when it gets to that point. But they rose up and took care of business pretty convincingly last week against Snyder. And then on the flip side, Snyder, 2-5 for the first time in 60 years of playing football, their worst start ever. They've only had 6 losses one other time, and that was in 1989. And they're pretty heavy underdogs against Bishop Dwenger. So there's, and then Homestead. Think about they went from beating Snyder 38-0, worst loss in the SAC in Snyder history. And then a week later, they got beat 49-0, did the Homestead Spartans. And again, just that, some of that is just high school kids, Coach,
Oh yeah.
and how when things don't go well, it can snowball in a hurry. And then some of it is just life in football, and that's how it goes. And so that's kind of what I did there. I love the picture by Doug Blackwell at the bottom. You'd scoot down a little bit there, Jackson. That was kind of a fun picture. Nice clear shot of the receiver. I think that might be Jackson. I can't think of his last name. Robinson, maybe. And the crowd in the background, or the sideline in the background cheering. I thought that was a fun pick.
I know there's pros and cons to superstitious people, but I think for Northrop to win at Spuller the last time that those teams play before the new stadium goes up,
And there's
there's got to be some mojo there to
some
that.
karma there,
That's
something.
a great way to end things after getting taken to the woodshed for 27 consecutive meetings
Yeah.
and to finally pull it out there. Outstanding for the Bruins.
That's a good point, because Snyder would kind of say
It's-
Snyder,
they would say that's their
Spuller Stadium,
Yeah,
all those
it's-
years,
yeah.
and you're right. That's a great shout out. There's the last time they met, in that stadium, with Snyder sharing it, and they to kind of, I guess,
Yep, you
bookend
guys
it
need
with
to
a W.
go to your own stadium. This is our house. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like it.
Okay, and then page 3, those Bluffton Tigers again, kind of the team of the week there with the Fort Wayne Fire Department ad. Folks, pick up a copy of Game Night, especially the senior parents. Those are all the seniors down there. There are a lot of really good young players on that team still, especially that junior class. But again, you don't win big games. You don't win championships, I believe, without seniors, and they've got a nice collection. All right, you guys ready to talk football instead of all my BS? Are we recording, Jackson? Okay, it looks like it. All right, is that a duck on the top right of the corner? Because that looks like Oregon. I don't even want to talk about ducks this week.
What's the spread on that? Oregon by what, 40 or what?
Oh my gosh!
Just kidding.
Well,
Just kidding.
We're gonna throw down.
Easy.
Okay.
No
it's
way.
a good thing you don't have a microphone.
So.
No. It's the Signetti effect.
All
It'll be
right.
fine.
Let's jump into this. Pete, why don't you start? Why don't you give us 5 minutes on the clock here, Jackson? Carroll Chargers at the Northrop Bruins. Northrop wins. They're SAC champs, is my understanding, on the big division. If they lose, and Dwenger, come on in here, buddy, and Dwenger beats Snyder. Again, this is assuming everybody wins week 9, which all those matchups are pretty one-sided. Then I think that's then it's Dwenger's championship to be had. So I'll let you take it from here. What are your thoughts on this game, Pete?
I think, what did you put it? You put it at 7. Carroll's 7-point favorite on the back end. Really, the only game I've seen specifically of Northrop would be that Huntington North game, which in Huntington North should have beat Northrop in
Early,
that game.
yeah.
Early. Lost quarterback. Obviously teams grow throughout the year, and looking at who are the common opponents, and you hit the nail on the head. Like what did Homestead? Homestead got pounded by Carroll. Carroll lost to Dwenger. Homestead beat Dwenger. Northrop lost to Homestead. Carroll goes out and throttles them last week. It tells me a couple things. It says, that tells me that Northrop's got insane athletes, like all the hubbub. It makes sense. They have big play potentials. Really, when it comes down to it, the defense for Carroll is the best in the SAC. Like statistically, them and Dwenger are neck and neck. So, according to all my data points entry, right? Trying to prepare to not sound like a schmuck here tonight. So, in my mind, this is not necessarily like how many points is Carroll going to score, because I think they're going to score. I think it's going to be more how many points can Northrop score against the Carroll defense. And really, for me, it's going to be tight. My gut says take Northside with the points, but overall, Northrop with the points. But I really think Carroll might. If Carroll's going to run with it at the end, so I think Carroll's going to kind of take the over in that.
Well, I will say this, and I'll set you up on this, Jake. I'm going to put you on the spot. When I look at this matchup, I think of Carroll offensively. Coach Andy Papagiannis is a good friend of ours. They still are not running the ball that well, in my opinion. You look at their numbers from week to week, you can tell there's a concerted effort every week to try to bump that up, but it's still not very prolific. They want to throw the ball, make no mistake. Gabe Freisinger, the junior quarterback, he's having a great season. Nice picture in Game Night this week on the Carroll page. But that Northrop defense, if they've got a strength on both sides of the ball, it's in that secondary. They're 7-8 deep there. I mean, they could do almost a double dime and just put 3 men down and then just float guys all over the place, come from every angle, and wreak havoc. That's to me the matchup to watch. Jake, I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, when I think of this game, with Carroll's only losses coming from powerhouse defenses, Hamilton Southeastern, Center Grove, Indianapolis Schools, and then Dwenger. I lean towards Carroll in this one, but I think it's like you said, Coach Poppy is going to have to get creative, because to me, to break up that great back end that Northrop has, use the spread to open up the run. But unfortunately, when you don't have that Nate Stark type of player this season, you're not going to be able to run the ball. So what can they do with that? Well, let's get the quick game going. Let's do some things with Jaden Van Pelt, get some guys going that we can look at as skill position guys to maybe run the ball quickly outside, maybe do some things a little bit differently, because you can't sleep on this Northrop defense either, man. D-Hogue is the real deal. And like you said, in that back end, they're fast. They're going to put their playmakers on the field, and they're going to be able to run with these receivers. You look at both sides, the receiver, corner, and safety matchups, back end versus receivers, I think it's going to be top tier. But I do like to see that Northrop has established a little bit of a run game. Levi Porti, obviously, with the monster run, breaking the pylon here. So I think it's going to come down to which of these coordinators can get crafty and who can exploit the other side. Carroll, with their lack of run production, is going to have to do something in the quick game. I think Northrop is going to have to do something in the run game themselves, because both teams can throw the ball and push it down the field, but they're going to have to get back to some more fundamental football and actually establish those short down and distance situations, which is quick game or run. Carroll, quick game. Northrop, run game. That's what I think.
Good assessment there. Now, something to think about. All the subplots, and there's a ton here.
Yep.
David Callison, the quarterback, nice picture this week there in game night. Used to be a Carroll kid. Maddox File used to be a Carroll kid. You've got Northrop also picking up the 2 transfers from Bishop Luers, D. Hogue and Davion Surrey, that took that really talented secondary to a new level, whole new level. And then you've got Quay Guilford, of course, who's at Ohio State, playing some back there as well, plus his Wildcat on offense.
Wildcat,
so they've got
fun.
so many parts. And we talked about some of those guys, but you don't forget about Reese and Harris. I mean, they've got other guys that would be more household names if it weren't for the other headliners. They are stacked in terms of the skills.
Very underappreciated for sure.
Yeah.
I also see they gave up 23 to Huntington North, 42 to Homestead, and 18 to Dwenger.
A lot of that was early.
And well, Dwenger is a big deal. Like,
no, for sure.
That's 2 weeks ago. So
I think Carroll's going to score points, no doubt about it. But I also think that, Dwenger did their damage against Northrop running the ball.
Yeah.
Carroll, that's not Carroll's forte.
Right.
So from a matchup standpoint, if Northrop wins this game, it's going to be because they took away Carroll's ability to run the ball and made him one-dimensional, because I think, that secondary is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, we know that. We do know.
Well, we'll talk. Jake or Jeff Mahoney is joining us at the end of the show, and this is the game he's doing. So we'll pick his brain a little bit at the end. All right, Jackson, give us another 5 minutes and scoot to the next game. Northside at Homestead. Man, this is, again, another head scratcher. I'm going to start with you, Jake, because you shared a stat with me upstairs.
Yeah, so just a quick stat, and this is going to be plus or minus a couple of games, but I want to say that the win-loss record for Northside's opponents is 5 wins on 30 losses. So when you look at that, Northside with that 5-2 record could be a little slanted, but we love Coach Johnson and what they do over there. For Homestead, man, what a roller coaster. They need to get back, to me, into just playing sound, fundamental, complementary football. And they're going to have to lean on some playmakers and a little bit of leadership. And with Homestead, without the run production that they don't have, again, I think you're going to have to mix up some things, go back to some of that, quarterback, running back read that they were doing. And I like Carter Kennedy a lot. And when you get a guy like that, it kind of goes back to what I said with Carroll. If you can't necessarily establish a dominant run game, can you do other things? Can you get Carter Kennedy in some jet situations? Just try to get some speed, to the outside. Is there any opportunity for that? But I think it's going to be very tough for them to establish the deep ball, to push the ball down the field, because there's so many athletes that Northside's got. And then on the north side, offense with the Dub C quarterback transfer, man, he releases the ball very quickly. They've got Caleb King Geely back. That's big for them to establish the run game. So if they can draw Sparty to that run, it should open up Malik Moore and some of those guys in the pass production and open it up for them. But Homestead's a lot tougher, I think, than their record shows. And I'm not sleeping on Sparty.
Well, and you talk about Northside's schedule. Homestead's schedule is pretty formidable too, right? At Westfield, at Noblesville to kickstart the season.
Right.
The big upset win at Noblesville in week 2 after they lost their starting quarterback, Michael White.
That week 2 was very impressive.
Yeah, and so, but they just been, up, down, up, down. They are the poster child for a roller coaster. And now you're like, where are they at mentally, after last week? Coach, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
That's the biggest question mark for Homestead right now. I think on a neutral field, just playing straight up, I think Homestead wins. But, you're coming off a long-time rivalry loss.
And a bad loss.
A bad loss.
They were down 35-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Whew.
So you don't know how they're going to rebound. I know they're young up front, and that offensive line has been searching for identity. So, how much are they going to grow from last week, and, what's going to define them moving forward? Because, you look at they're going to get Concordia in the final week. Northside is going to be a big match for them. Defensively, I think they should be well enough soundly versus what Northside does. Because Northside, they do some great counter read stuff. They do a lot of middle of the field read stuff from back in the day, like passing game wise. Obviously, athletes abound, but what are they going to do? Homestead's so well coached, and they've had the same systems forever. You know exactly what they're going to do. What can they do on offense to sustain the run? And you're right. Like, is it a jet? Is it creating different formations and balances? It's how can you take a young O-line, simplify the game plan for them, but maybe use a tackle over, or are you putting just a bunch off the edge of the line of scrimmage as a tight MLOs to create extra gaps? What does the RPO game look like for that quarterback? And I know Billy does a good job with that. So it'll be very interesting. It'll be tight. I mean, the numbers and the data, there's really nothing to go off of. There's really no Carroll for Northside yet. You talk about the schedule.
Yeah.
There's no Dwenger for Northside, and there's, Snyder not to the last week. So you're looking at your traditional powerhouses to give us kind of a gauge of where these teams are.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. Of all the games we're looking at, I think this might be the most difficult to predict.
Yeah.
So, really,
and you just don't know which team's going to show up, especially for Homestead.
Mm-hmm.
Where's their headspace on this?
Yeah.
Because that's a really humbling loss. And you know how it is when you're coaching young kids. I mean, they can turn in a hurry. And so I'm sure it was a galvanizing effort this week as far as redirecting their focus and getting them saying, hey, guys, we got a lot of football left to be played. We've done some good things.
And they're good enough to, I know Carroll's in their sectional. That 49-0 loss doesn't define their season if they don't allow it.
Sure.
I mean, you just never know. I mean, you never know. And this win here launches them into a great sectional run.
Well, and you mentioned next week is Concordia. There'll be a heavy favorite there, kind of a get well game to tweak some things and kind of get ready for the 6A sectional. So I think there's a nice picture there of the little zone read action with Logan Frieden, the quarterback, and Shane Bardwell, the running back. Like Carroll, they have to be able to run the football.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're going to be fine, especially in this game. Caleb Kingley, you mentioned, Jake, 151 yards last week, a season high. Good to see him back.
For sure.
For
they
the
need
Legends. All right, give us 5 minutes. Next game, if you would. Jackson Snyder Panthers at the Bishop Dwenger Saints. Another intriguing matchup because, we've talked a lot about Snyder's, misfortune this year with just off to their worst start in 60 years. They're at 2-5. They're, have to be considered a pretty significant underdog this week at Bishop Dwenger. The Saints, coming off a 27-7 win over their rivals out at Lewis Field, have to be feeling a little better after giving away the game to Northrop 2 weeks ago. And so this is, again, another one of those matchups. I never would have guessed coming into the season that Snyder would be 2-5. I don't think any of us would have. And they're still trying to figure some things out, especially with their offense. They've really struggled on that side of the ball. So, Snake, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Your thoughts on Snyder at Bishop Dwenger?
Yeah, I got to see Snyder in person versus Warsaw at Spoller, and it wasn't the usual Snyder Panthers we're used to seeing. But however many seasons I've thrown some dirt on their grave before the season starts, and they made me eat crow. I just thought, hey, maybe it's early season jitters. I got to get some things worked out. Warsaw has since kind of had to struggle with their own as the season's gone on. I don't know. The thing that you love about the Panthers is that Coach Tip's always got them ready to go with his system. They were still doing some things out of the pistol. They were still rolling QB out of the pocket, throwing to the left, throwing to the right on the run, which was nice, but just not being able to get any real consistency this season. The Homestead loss really surprised me in the extent of that shutout, and it's an uphill mental battle when you're on a 3-game skid, but if anybody can get them out of that, it's Coach Tip. For me, I think they've just got to try to find a way to grind some clock and keep this close. Unfortunately, the Saints' defense is pretty nasty. BD has looked really well for the whole season. And a lot of the games have been won and lost on the field from special teams. And you've got to give the edge to the special teams to the Saints. With Vance Dippenbrock, the long snapper, and Lucas Nguyen, the kicker.
Oh, Lucas is a beast.
And,
How does he not have, schools just drooling over him? I mean, he's just phenomenal.
I'm surprised with Vance being committed to Bowling Green, GSU. I'm really surprised that he hasn't had a lot of looks because arguably everybody's saying maybe a school or city record at the 53-yarder he kicked here a couple of weeks back. They've won and lost games on his leg.
He had 2 mid-40 field goals last week.
Absolutely.
And he just drilled them like it's nothing.
And that's a tough thing for Snyder in this game is like you have to score you have to score a touchdown in this game.
They got a
You
great
have
kicker
to.
too in Mang Tung.
And Mang Tung is solid, but Lucas Nguyen can come out and give you 9 to 12 points. They're going to get him in range, so you have to score 1 or 2 touchdowns. I don't know that they can do it. And that's pretty brutal to say, but this Saints defense is nasty, and Snyder just hasn't really figured out a way to move the football very well this year. So I'm hopeful that it's a little closer than I hope it will be. But AJ Shefferly and Beckham Russell, two great players on the Dwenger side as well. I just think it's going to be an uphill battle for the Panthers, which is just blows my mind to say.
Yeah, I think Shefferly and Houston Ellinger right now, for my money, are their MVPs. They're both two-way players. They play some special teams, and they're difference makers. I mean, Shefferly runs the ball so hard at fullback, and Houston Ellinger makes plays all over the place. Nice picture there in game night this week of Lucas Nguyen drilling one of those field goals last week. Coach, I'm going to come to you. What does Snyder have to do to win this game or even hang around?
So Snyder's offense, as we kind of hit, and it's in and out of the pistol, doing a little bit of the read. It is a gap-based offense. They're going to run power, they're going to run counter. I know they had a little inside zone. I don't know if they block his down or they block his inside zone anymore. You do a little and pull toss game, but with their system and how they come up against the 3-3. I love the 3-3 Dwenger. How it's evolved over the last maybe 5 or 6 years
under DC Dan Nepper,
under Coach Knepp. Really the 5 high stuff down to more of a quarters base, but getting that extra guy in the box. So it's really hard in the down scheme versus a stack where that's hugely B gap dependent. That who are you kicking? Who's the edge player? Who's my force player? Who are we reading? You got to go to the line. That could be different every series, depending on if they're in a tight front, if they're in a wide front. Where are those stack backers? Are they B gap, D gap dependent? If they're not, a lot of these 3-3 teams or 3-5 teams are no longer just lining up in 50s, 5, 0, and 10. So it's really hard when you see these multiple fronts and shades because it on a down scheme because it hugely dictates a gap on down. They used to call it God or oil, or it depends on, how we teach at the Pee Wee level. It just depends. So I think Snyder's going to have a really hard time scoring.
Let me throw out a few stats for you guys to ponder. Okay, you just think recent history here. Last week, Snyder against Northrop, they lost 35-14. And Northrop had 335 of their 398 yards through the air.
Wow.
That's not what Dwenger does. They don't throw the ball,
No.
at least not to that level.
Yeah.
And they don't have those playmakers out on the perimeter either that the Bruins did. So, and then Snyder ended up actually having a decent chunk, over 200 yards rushing against Northrop. So if they can run the ball, again, it's the old cliche, shorten the game, eat up some clock, they can hang around in this, guys. I mean, because this is a much better matchup for them, I believe, than Northrop because of that.
I have a hard time seeing Snyder score more than 7 points.
No, I agree. But Dwenger's offense might not move the ball up and down the field. Certainly not, it doesn't have the capability in their passing game that Northrop has. So I think that's the one matchup that Snyder could hang around and make this a ball game.
They could if they keep it short and they're able to get first nice gains on first down,
Play action, pass to a tight end, that kind of thing.
There's an argument for that, but I don't know.
Dwenger's defense is really good.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
And it's going to be
they do enough on offense to be. It'll be interesting to see how they run in the sectionals.
okay.
Think about this before you move on. So if we can count on Nguyen for, let's say, 4 field goals from 45 or in, think about how short your field just got for you. If your defense can hold them to a touchdown and you just get him inside 45 yards 4 times, you're still going to win the game.
Yep.
That's incredible to me for special teams.
For sure.
And so with that, okay, now Snyder comes out and does something crazy, halfback pass, gets them on something over the top, and they score 14 points. I still think Lucas Nguyen will kick you 5 field goals, and I think you will win on his leg alone.
Well, they might. I mean, he's not a bad leg to lean on. That's for sure. He's one of the best. All right, let's get it. I know poor Jackson over there was just licking his chops. He can't wait to hear a little bit about his beloved Columbia City
Eagles.
I mean, Eagles. Make sure we get a shot of these helmets here, please. Jake, I'm going to start with you because I have a feeling you know a little bit about this team. The Columbia City Eagles stand at 4-3, traveling out to Leo Lions at 6-1. Last week they jumped out to a big lead against Huntington North, and then they kind of took their foot off the pedal a little bit, had a few miscues in the second half, and the Vikings made a game of it. What are your thoughts about this matchup?
Obviously, I'm a homer, so my thoughts are always going to slant with the Eagles, good or bad. But the thing that I wanted to note is the tough thing about getting an identity on your football team. You know, you want to establish an identity. What do we do well? What are we going to be known for? And when Coach Fox, you know, installed this flexbone offense 4, 5, 6 years ago, they wanted to establish the thought that we're going to have some big athletic dudes on the line of scrimmage at the point of attack, and we're going to run the football, which in comparison to prior coaches like Coach Hudgens, who we spoke about earlier, awesome dude, thought more of the philosophy of spread. And Coach Fox earlier in his career was a spread guy too when he came in. But to get the identity to run the football the way that you do and to have success, obviously with a conference title and a sectional title in recent years, when you get that taken away from you, then you find yourself reeling a little bit and you're kind of grasping for straws for what to do from there. And I think that we just need to get ourselves at Columbia City back to center and kind of think, okay, what has worked for us? How can we alleviate that? And that starts with the run game. And Leo, unfortunately for us, I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup against that run. The one thing I'd like to see Columbia City do a little bit more of, you know, we don't have Stratton Fuller out there anymore. You're not going to throw up, you know, a 25-yard skinny post in triple coverage, and he's not going to bring it down. We've got to get guys open. And I think you've got to mix up some of the route trees that these guys are running. And in this offense, you're not out there with 3-by-1 wide receiver sets, you know. I like to see Coach Fox mixing it up, coming out of the shotgun a little bit, still keeping our slot backs attached. But I think they need to get Gabe McDivitt, who we coached through the youth system. He's a guy that needs to be moving to throw the ball because he needs options. So for me, and maybe it's too late in the season to install stuff like this, but I'm running something like a sprint read where I'm running him out of the pocket. We snap the ball out of that shotgun in that new formation. I'm running him straight right with a back beside him. And if it's there, I'm pitching it. And if not, we're going triple option and throwing the football down the field. We just got to have more in the route tree. And I think Coach Fox is establishing that and looking at those things. I know they're practicing that a little bit more. They're going to need that against Leo. But my point to this is you got to find that identity again and get back to those high percentage run plays that got you here. Because then when that box gets stacked, now we can start taking those deep shots again. And I think that's going to be tough sledding for him against these Lions. Leo, absolutely fantastic. The team lives and dies by running back Nate Foster. And the one thing that I like in this game for Columbia,
Nate Foster averaged 43.3 yards per carry last week. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's absolutely insanity. The one thing nice, though, for Columbia City's defense from that side, though, when you look at how East Noble runs a lot of like the GT and GH counter stuff out of the shotgun, that's not the same style of run game that Leo has, which should help us to our benefit. But for me, it's like, can you hold Nate Foster to under 150 yards and keep him out of the end zone for 3, and that's a win. And then you got to build off of it from there. Isaiah Kuhlman doesn't get probably, he's getting garnering more love and attention on the Leo side. I think he's an absolute unit. I hate to say it, this is going to be tall order for Columbia City to get this thing done, and it's going to take all hands on deck. It's going to take a big game from Gavin Smith and both sides of the ball, maybe some special teams to help him get it done.
Yeah, got to find ways. If there is that Fuller-like playmaker, it's Gavin Smith.
For
and maybe,
sure.
Maybe they can throw some jump balls to him downfield. Coach, real quick, what are your thoughts here? What does Leo have to do to hang around in this game?
NHC or NE8, sorry. You're right at more up my alley. It'll be so offensively for Columbia City, vary the run game. Leo is a 3-4, so that will be maybe a 5-2 look or reduced to a side like Homestead used to do like through the 80s and 90s, so reduced odd on one side. What are they going to do with tackle over versus that odd? How are they getting the +1 in the box? So who's capping the extra gaps? You really don't have to stay too high versus Columbia City. So, where is that coming in? So I don't want to see, if I'm Columbia City, I don't want to see belly the entire time. I don't want to see, crisscross, the two variations of the counter they run. I know they have a great dive game, great dive fold game. I don't want to see committed the same 2 or 3 plays. I want to just because
Leo's going to take it away.
No, maybe
or limit it.
because when you run an offense like that, like the flex bone or the single wing or any wing T, whatever system offense, usually it's dictated by what you see. I see an open A gap or and dive automatically. So it's one of those things like they may be taking that away post snap. So how do I get away from that to get the look that I want to run the complementary plays? So I want to see that full suite of complementary plays. If that's the case, I think Columbia City can score 14, 21, 28 points. But I think the biggest matchup of this game, the story we want to look at, is I think the box for Columbia City is better than the offensive line from Leo. I don't think that's a big stretch. And so it's going to be more, you're going to try to stop Foster. You're going to try to keep him from maybe 3 big plays.
Mhm.
And those big plays don't score. So if you're able to do that, can you keep them to field goals? Can you keep them to limited point exposure and then maybe create a turnover here? So if I'm Leo, how are they, with the issues that Columbia City might have had in the secondary, because they've given up some passing yards this season, they're not half bad at throwing the ball. That's what people forget.
Columbia City?
Leo
Throw
the ball.
Titus Stoller,
So
if senior quarterback,
yeah,
yes.
they're pretty damn good.
They just don't do a lot of it.
They don't
I think he
have
was
to.
2 of 6 last week
They don't have
for
to.
50 yards.
So guess what? Maybe they might have to throw 10 or 12 times this week, and it's okay.
Right.
And they're throwing for 200 yards. So it'll be interesting to see how, Columbia City comes out and tries to solve the Nate Foster, the Nate Foster issue, right? Like, I don't want him to go for 4 carries and 200.
He might go bananas Foster.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're hungry.
Well, thank you guys. That was there was some good stuff there. It's going to be a fun matchup, and I think, I think everybody thinks Leo big, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Columbia City hangs around.
If Columbia City can keep it close through the first quarter and a half, it's a ball game. If they get down 14, we'll see.
Never know.
Never know.
Okay, give us another 5 minutes, Jackson. Coach, I'm going to come to you first. We got Adams Central 7-0. At Bluffton, 7-0. Both these teams moved up a notch this week in the Swami's top 25 after just kind of being stuck forever. And these two Class 2A programs that I think, you don't want to necessarily shoot your wad because there's always that potential for a rematch. But by the same token, it's been a long time since Bluffton's won an ACAC crown, and that community again, I feel like it's about ready to bust. It's going to be electric tomorrow night. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
Really, both teams run the ball as a foundation. AC more so dependent than Bluffton
For sure.
Bluffton, what are they completing? I think they said 80% of their passes right now. What's the kid's name?
Exon Best. He's a junior and having a really 18 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yeah, and he's throwing the ball like 7 times a game, 8 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, can they continue to expand upon that? Maybe I have to throw the ball 12 or 13 times because you're not stopping Adams Central. Let's just be very blunt. What they run something very similar to Coach Fox. They do it a little very, very different and more of a traditional wing T than versus like the flex.
The flex bone, right?
Yeah. It's more of a single wing, I would call it, than a flex bone, like an academy option. There's not much triple with Columbia City, but with what they do it better than anybody else, and they do it the best, one of the best in the state at running the traditional Delaware wing T, baby. It's sexy as hell.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And if you can keep them under 21 and under 250 yards rushing, you have a shot. Bluffton can do it. I mean, Bluffton has the number 1 offense in the conference, number 2 only to AC. AC has the number 1 D in the conference, only to number 2 Bluffton.
Right.
So
these are clearly the 2 best teams.
Yeah, the 2 best teams. So really, can Bluffton throw the ball at an 80% clip and score twice? If they do, look out. If they can't, I think AC takes it.
Well, and that's just it. That first quarter is going to be so telling. If Bluffton scores early, gets a turnover early, and all of a sudden, if they're up 14-0, Adams Central's a little bit out of their game. And they're going to be patient and they'll do their thing, but they're not built to come from behind. Certainly not with their passing game.
Yeah,
we haven't seen a lot of it. Braylon Reber, the real athletic tight end / receiver.
Yeah.
I like him a lot in that element. They got him the ball a little bit more. This
Mhm.
past week, he had an 88-yard reverse.
Yep.
And I asked Coach Mosier about that. He says, yeah, just some little wrinkles to find ways to get
They
him
have
the ball a
so
little bit
many
more.
wrinkles.
Well, it's pretty clear, though, again, if they
Yeah.
want to get past Bluffton and win this game and then potentially Andrean and whomever
Yeah.
else down the road, you need to find some, you got to utilize those weapons, and they probably weren't using him quite enough.
And what they are good at is when because they do throw the ball vertically and they do it well. They run a lot of like what I would call like fly switch, flood,
With the wingbacks,
yeah, with the wing backs. So
Mhm.
like they have a 3 vertical presence, and you're almost always going to see a 3-man high shell. Almost always. You have to. You don't have a choice. They force you into it.
right.
So knowing that, you could have 2 over 1 guarding 2. And then when you run crosses or late sits underneath, because your conflict player in the outside back or whomever that is, or your force player has to be 99% run. So what do? You just sneak the tight end out. The flats are almost always open from your boots or from your waggles, however you want to get to the edge.
Mhm.
So again,
little play action,
little
a
play
rollout
action,
with
yeah.
Jamison Roach, the junior
you know,
quarterback.
We're talking straight, old school. I'm turning my back, play action.
Yeah.
The ball is going at my hip, and I'm going to go do. I'm going to look for the the drag across the field. I'm either going to dump it or I'm going to take off.
Yep.
Because no one's there to stop me.
Well,
So
a really intriguing matchup. But
Yeah.
Jake, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just as football fans in general, I think everybody wants to buy into Bluff because it's like the majority of people are like, oh, AC is going to win again, sweet. And it's the same way that we felt about Northrop. It's like, man, they finally get it done against that, or you want to buy into that, you love it. Kind of like the Tom Brady era for the Patriots. It's like, oh, it's finally over. Thankfully it's over. Like somebody else can win. But I don't know, man. AC just finds ways to win all the time. And you look at that week 1 grinder they had over Garrett. You look at week 5. Yeah, Heritage gave them a run for their money, and they still beat them.
And then Bluffton blew out Heritage
And then Bluffton blew out Heritage. So
last week.
you would love I want Bluffton to win this game just so it's somebody different. But AC's just built for it, and they're showing how every year they're making deep playoff runs. They're going to the state finals. They're finally winning the state finals. Really glad that it didn't become like the 4 Falls of Buffalo for them, that they were finally able to get it done.
Yes.
And now it's only going to become more for them. And
they have not lost, Jake, since in the conference since 2020.
that's insanity.
Yeah.
So
That's quite a run.
here's a little dirty secret as a coach, right?
Please make it dirty.
We already did it with the intro. You're going to lose at some point, right?
Right.
Very few teams go undefeated all the way through. So if you really have your eyes on state, you have to learn how to rebound in a hard situation. If I'm AC, I'm Coach Mosier, this isn't a bad loss
if it happens.
if it happens. So
You're,
that-
that's maybe
Yeah.
not shooting your
you're not
load on
correct.
trying
So
to
I'm
get
not-
this.
well
Well,
focused on winning the game, but I'm more focused on winning a state title.
right. And so maybe you
This-
keep a
this
few
is
treats
Bluffton's
back
Super
for
Bowl.
Santa. Yeah.
Mhm.
Whereas
That's a good
Bluffton,
point.
it feels like,
This is
they're
it.
going to throw everything in the kitchen sink out at this game. They're at home. I mean, I think it's been
Probably senior night.
over
I'm assuming.
30. It's senior night,
Yep.
and it's been over 30 years, I believe, since they've won a conference championship. There's so
Holy
much
cow.
on the line.
Yeah.
And yes, we've talked a lot about their juniors, but they still have a lot of really good seniors on this team. If they're going to do it, this is the year. And
Yeah.
it's a great matchup. I mean,
Yeah.
Adams Central, looking at their stats here, guys, 1,816 rushing yards on the season. Pretty prolific. And again, that passing, 24 of 51. So
Yeah.
less than 50%, 454
Like
yards.
passes a game.
Yeah.
So
So
let's get crazy.
they haven't had to do it. So yeah, it's what a compelling matchup. And again, if I was
That's small school football.
no,
Good small school football to a T.
yes,
And Bluffton's 3A though, right?
are they 3 or
I
2A?
think they're 2.
So they're large.
think
too.
they're
I know they
2A.
fluctuate back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
So
they're in the
Bluffton's
same
probably
section.
large
So this is
2A.
a preview potentially, I
Yeah.
believe. So yeah, this is going to be a great matchup. And again, if I was on my magic carpet tomorrow night, that's
Yeah.
probably where I would be, truthfully. All right, let's get out of it. Last featured game, West Noble at Cherubusco. Give us 4 minutes if you would, Jackson. Who wants to start here? You feeling it?
Sure.
Busco guy? You're kind of a Busco guy. It's
Kinda.
the same county.
I'm a county guy, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna come to you first, Jake. We got West Noble 6-1 conference champs. Big
Yes.
school, right? Cherubusco 5-2 conference champs. Little school.
School, yeah.
Again, another one of those silly little things. But I get it.
Yep.
Congrats to both of them.
Absolutely.
But this is still kind of to me, an important game just from the standpoint of momentum, bragging rights, putting your best foot forward for the stretch run into the playoffs. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, a little birdie told me, I thought I had some real inside information that I was supposed to.
Scoop Smith.
Yeah, I was supposed to shout out Westonot for his Notre Dame commitment for track and field. But it sounds like everybody in the county knew as soon as I did. And I had the inside information from Coach Lee Blake's dad, who is an absolute Busco unit. He works with us at QIG, and he goes, "Man, I got the inside scoop."
The DeKalb County guys got it.
He already had DeKalb County and Columbia City guys. Everybody knew about this, even before I did, with insider information. That's how important
I didn't
it
know,
was.
Jake, if it makes you feel any better.
So congratulations to him. And he's like the millionth Busco kid to go compete somewhere for track and field. So that's awesome for them. Your common scores in this game with Lakeland and Garrett going in West Noble's favor, you would think that Coach Mayhorter's team's got the edge. But Busco's been really dialed in with the offense, with Holsenbeck, with Ott, and Bryce Lawrence, great kid that you hope a lot of these guys being two-way players can slow down that West Noble run game. Barnes, Bridges, and Parks are kind of the Pony Express for the Chargers this year. And as everything fell into place earlier this season against Eastside, if I'm Busco, Eastside is kind of their like arch nemesis. And it's kind of one of those things. It's tough to beat a team twice in the same season, and you beat them to take the conference title, but I doubt you want to see them again in the sectionals. And I think they would agree with that. So going to be a great game. Obviously, it's going to be very run dominant, but you hope, if I'm West Noble, if I can get a little bit going in the pass game, I think that's going to be beneficial.
Well, the Pony Express thing, why the hell we talked about this in the past. Why the hell do they have a horse on their helmet? I mean, it's up here. I love it.
It's a Charger.
But they're the Charger. Is that what it is?
The horse is hard charging. He's like a race horse.
Oh, it's a hard charging horse?
I'm just reaching here. I have no idea.
No, that's a stretch, but I like it. Don't get me wrong. And you mentioned the Barnes, what's his name? I love that cat.
Yeah, Barnes Bridges.
Yeah, Barnes Bridges. What's his first name? It's like Shamir or something.
It is,
I think.
yeah. I don't want to mispronounce
with an
it.
X and an apostrophe and all kinds of stuff. Coach Mayhorter didn't even try to help me with it. He just kind of dropped the last name on me. Like, I think he's given up.
Yeah.
But I love that kid. And there's a really nice picture in game night this week of him from Steve Bowen. But Busco, they seem like a really dangerous team right now with the Lawrence twins and the way they run the ball. They feel to me like a team that's playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Coach, what are your thoughts on this one?
So let's talk about the Monty Mayhorter spread, running inside zone, toss, counter, a lot of what he does, and he does it really well. I mean, he's always had, how many was it? Pritchards?
Pruitts.
How many Pruitts to go through there? Now
still got some
another great
Yateses.
back.
Another Yateses, yeah.
Another Yateses. Oh my gosh. And who knows what happens in West Noble County? I mean, East Noble's crazy enough. As soon as you get to the west side,
it's just nuts up there.
That's like the south side. It's like, what is east side to Auburn? It's Busco to City.
Right.
Like Busco. I mean, they've inhaled so many diesel fumes over there over the years that like you just never know what the hell you're going to get.
You don't.
And now we're talking hybrid wing tee. Let's not get too crazy. They might go shotgun, man.
Yep, gun tee on you, man.
Gun tee, you never know. But if it's me, if I'm Busco, I'm traditional. We're going to go Leland under center, and that's what you get really good. So, Busco, the biggest tell, obviously got the Garrett, you got the Lakeland reference, but really, I think your biggest tell is going to be the East Side game, and really, can Busco defend in space? So, what does Monty do? He actually runs the ball to get into space, so a little more inside zone dependent. But can you tackle one-on-one in open space? And usually those Busco dudes tackle really, 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 really well in open space.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I don't know.
I think it's a great matchup.
I do too.
I really do. And I think the East Side game is a little bit of an outlier. I think East Side kind of gave that game away.
A lot of things fell into place
earlier
for Busco to win that game.
Yep.
Some craziness.
And East Side's playing really well right now.
They
Coach
are.
Alex Brandewie and Coach Todd Mason right there. in his ear. You know, it feels
Hey.
just like a Mason coach team, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, you don't forget the Daisy Man. Like he's on there, and
Yep.
they have they have all the guys that Dove.
Yep.
And they got all those guys that played there, that coached there, and they've built their
And their
system.
youth
And
system. Yep.
it's going up and crazy, and they do a great job, and they've got cats.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely do. Okay, let's get out of this, Jackson, and give us maybe, I don't know, how many minutes, 4 or 5 on this, Jake? On
Oh
the
yeah, I
center?
forgot all about this. Yeah, let's do it.
Our center spread feature this week. I loved how this turned out. It was kind of a combo on campus Snake Eyes feature where Jake kind of singled out the Division I football programs in the state of Indiana a couple weeks ago. You'll remember he kind of talked a little bit about the NAIA Division III, Division IIA realm. I believe there was 13 programs in the state for that. Now we've got 7 here. Jake, take it away.
Yeah, so we'll try to run down this quickly, and as most people have followed along, we're getting towards the end of this thing in week 8. So we went through some lower division schools and just the importance of getting the opportunities to play collegiate football, and then we would be remiss if we didn't mention Division I, both FCS and FBS schools. And so with that, Valparaiso and Butler, 2 great Division I FCS schools that are right here. In the Pioneer Football League, both teams are under some new head coaching, which is exciting. So if you're looking into those schools, funny, we were talking about before the broadcast started tonight about Maction, and how about Ball State? We've got some locals down there playing for them right now, representative from East Noble and Columbia City. And if you're going into any type of journalism or communication, obviously Ball State is a great school for that. We've got Indiana State, the Sycamores here in state. Obviously, Larry Bird came from there. And the cool thing about schools like that is it's nice to see the parity early in the season with these guys playing teams like Indiana State played number 5 FCS Montana and number 19 FBS Indiana early to start the season. So pretty exciting. And then obviously you're kind of going up to your more esteemed franchises like the Purdue Boilermakers. How great would it be to play at Ross-Ade Stadium, seating over 62,000 people? My all-time favorite football player, Mike Allstott, Snyder grad, Rod Woods. There's just a lot of tradition up there. So obviously you would be excited to play as a Boilermaker. I actually remember watching part of Drew Brees would have been against Kansas State in the Alamo Bowl from a rooftop, seeing my family in Texas as they were going into that stadium. It was absolute chaos. So Purdue, obviously, fantastic football program. Then you go to IU, who this guy over here would argue is no longer a basketball university, and we'll see how Coach Sig keeps these guys rolling. But they're recruiting better in state now, and you would love to be a part of the Hoosiers football program. Obviously, we've had some guys from around the area that have played down there, James Hardy being one of them. But how about Antoine Randall? Every time I think IU football, I think about him. And then last but certainly not least, Notre Dame, the Irish. And you really love to see the way they're recruiting our area with a lot of players we've had come through. I mean, Jalen coming through there, and now we've got a safety from just a mere couple of years ago that is just absolutely dynamite over there with Tay Johnson
starting, and Brandon Logan waiting in the
Brandon
wings.
Logan
behind
in the wings.
him. Yeah,
So
for
it's-
sure.
And even also linebacker from Andrean, who we just talked about. So just
Drake Bowen.
Yeah, there's so many guys, even, Drew Tranquil, Ben Skoranek from Tyler Eifert, just guys from our area, and the list goes on and on. So if you get an opportunity to compete at the Division I level in state, and I think the Wheel kid from Northrop just got offered by Purdue.
Yeah.
Maddox did. So it's just outstanding. You should be very excited for yourself, proud of yourself, for you and your family if you get the opportunity to do that. But we have great in-state programs, and I just want to encourage.
2 of these programs were in the college football playoff last year.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that we threw that out.
Jab at Jackson.
It's pretty impressive, and one of them was not Purdue.
But
I'm just saying, Jackson.
As a 260 area player, you should be very, very excited at the opportunity to play in state. So I'd encourage you guys to look at these schools versus leaving us and going somewhere. You don't need the West Coast, man. Yeah, it snows here, but you can enjoy it.
See, zoom in on that if you can a little bit more. Is that okay? Well, there's a autographed picture of Larry Bird down here.
Nice.
He's my all-time favorite. I was a Celtics fan when I was a kid. Now I can't stand the NBA, but Larry Bird actually played baseball for I believe just one game at
game at
Indiana
Indiana
State,
State.
where
Really?
they challenged. I think there was the story when the baseball coach challenged him or something. Larry Bird said, "I could play." I believe he went like 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and made a couple putouts at first
Didn't he
base.
pitch?
I don't know if he pitched, but I think he played first
That's
base. But
crazy.
he didn't play football for the
Yeah.
Sycamores. But I mean, the guy was special. He probably could have. Man, imagine him on a little jump ball.
I didn't
Yeah, a
know that.
little shout out Antoine Randall L, coaches
Nice.
for the Bears. I'll be your voice, Jackson. Very nice. And I love the artwork on this. Jessica did a nice job designing it. I like the sticky notes. The photo last year that Doug took of the IU running back, and then Nitro Tuggle,
Got to see
from
him play
Purdue.
in person once. He was outstanding.
Northwood,
Northwood, yeah.
grad. Yeah,
Black
went down to
Crunch.
went down to Georgia.
Yep.
Now came back up to play in state for the Boilers. Pretty cool there, and that was Steve Bowen on the picture there. So that was fun. All right, thanks, Jake.
Absolutely.
Real quick, we're just going to spend like I'm going to have both of you guys spend maybe give me 2 minutes. Let's do 2-minute drill on this. I've got 2 SAC games. I'm going to just put somebody on the spot because we really didn't talk about this, so enjoy it. Why don't I come to you, Pete Kemp? Let's talk Southside at Concordia. Just in general thoughts here. The Cadets coming off their first win.
Yeah.
Southside lost to their rival. They
Yep.
were in that game. What are your thoughts here?
Oh, I'm a Southside homer just from family heritage. We kind of talked about last time. So good to see. You always want a team to get a win in the year. You never read the team that loses to them.
Sure.
But you want them to be able to compete and stay involved. And we're seeing across the state, like some of these schools, the smaller schools that you can't sustain and win games at all.
One
They're
just
they're
folded.
folding
Yeah.
the programs.
Yep.
And there's so much offered at these schools. So, when it comes down to this game, obviously I do think Southside is going to be the favorite, 2 to 3 touchdowns. But you know what? If Concordia continue to get better, like they had the receiver that went to Montana a few years ago, they're going to have some kids that come through and get, kids back into the system. You never know what happens.
They're super young.
And they're super young.
Yep.
Like you hit the nail on the head. So Southside wins. Good for Southside. I think it'd be win 2 or 3 on the year.
Number 2.
Yep. And you never know. Again, sectional time doesn't get crazier.
For sure.
Yeah,
and
so-
they've got athletes galore.
Mhm.
And
They're doing a good job there.
Exactly. Coach Goodwell's doing a nice job. They can just get to a point where they believe and they get over the hump. And this is maybe the kind of late season game where you get a little, momentum in your favor and,
Yep.
and you win, maybe even comfortably. Everybody gets rejuvenated and excited. And who knows what that propels for the stretch
Correct.
run.
There are enough kids there. And I think they do a good enough job coaching that they could surprise somebody.
They could be very, very
never know.
dangerous. I believe they have Bishop Dwinger next week. I'd have to double
Yeah.
check.
I don't know
But
about
still,
that one, but
no,
you never know.
but they're they're vastly improved from where they were a few years ago. Are the Archers?
Because they could pick Columbia City week 1, and
Yep.
like, you
Yeah.
just never even
Remember
know.
a few years back they upset Leo
Correct.
in the sectional and where they were decided underdog, and that was a huge win for Southside then. All right, let's give us 2 more minutes on the clock. Snake, Wayne at Bishop Lures. Wayne staring 0-7. Coach Darian White, who used to coach at Bishop Lures, is now the coach of the Generals. They're just really struggling. Go ahead and start us, Jackson. Bishop Lures, last week lost 27-7 to Bishop Dwinger at home. I thought that game would be a little closer. I think we all did, truthfully. But they still have a lot of weapons. That offensive defensive lines are menacing. I think they can be dominant by the 3A playoffs. And then we talked a lot about those young kids, TJ Epperson, the Gaither kid, Brandon Gaither. They're kind of a, inside outside type running attack for Bishop Lures, both sophomores in 3A. So your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I'll keep it short, but Wayne has to take a little bit of the Coach Andre Goodwill playbook from Southside. You've just got to keep grinding, man. And yeah, you want to get through the season with a win. You don't want to go, starting your opening season at 0-9 or 0-10 by the time you get into sectionals, depending on how your draw is. But if that's what this becomes, you've got to find building blocks. How can you keep returning players motivated? What can you do to make this meaningful? Hey, you got to go in there with a mentality that we're willing to try anything, that we're going to try to play spoiler. Obviously, Lures is going to be a heavy favorite in this game with that huge defensive front that we've talked about. When you've got 6'8", 285-pound mountains of human beings, that's going to be tough to run against. But what can you do What can you bring in your bag of tricks? You know, can you throw a jet pass at them? Can you run a reverse? At this point, who cares? Because you're trying to bring some type of energy and establish, hey, going in, you know, you're not trying to say you're punting on this season. You want to win a game, but being realistic here, Wayne's chances in this are not good. What can you build as building blocks? Can you keep this thing where you're within, you know, 10 points, 7 points going into the fourth quarter, and you can throw a fake punt pass at them or something crazy to try to catch them off guard? You have nothing to lose. So for the embodiment of the program and to try to get some juice going in as the season unfolds on you as it goes on, that to me is what I'm doing. I'm going to try something crazy and try to shock these Lures Knights.
Yeah, and talking to Kyle Lindsey, the head coach at Bishop Lures this weekend, he basically said we are in playoff prep mode. I mean, make no bones about it. We're redirecting our focus now in these last 2 weeks of the regular season are about fine-tuning things, tweaking some things, introducing some things. I think he deep down inside feels like they've got more than enough to make another deep run in 3A, and I would agree. So, all right, let's do the area roundup. Coach, I'm going to come to you real quick. Huntington North at Norwell. We got about a minute here on the game. General thoughts here.
Norwell's going to get better, but this is the start of a cycle again for them. So in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be really good. Right now, it's just
Playing
not
a lot of
their
young
time.
kids. Yep.
A lot of young kids. Huntington got the running back 2 weeks ago. He's the real deal. Pound the ball. Huntington North walks away and hope everybody stays healthy.
Yeah. I mean, Huntington North sits at 2-5. Don't they feel like one of the best 2-5 teams that you can remember in recent years?
They play a good schedule.
No doubt about it.
And
they've been in a lot of those games.
Yeah.
And then they just, for whatever reason, maybe an injury.
This is a good Huntington
something.
North team.
No, I think they've got some quality players, don't they?
Yeah, that's a good Huntington North team.
The running back is it Jesperson?
I think
yeah,
so. Number 3.
Number 3, I believe.
Yeah,
and he's
a
fast
hell of a
and
ball player.
he's a really good in the return game too.
Yeah, so getting him back is a huge benefit. And again, they get this. Yeah, 2-5 is an understatement to what Coach Eschbach has done there. They are a lot better. They look well coached. They do a lot of that 4-2-5 inverted cover 2, like Mount Union ran forever on defense. So it just, or the bracket coverages, so it'd be 2 robber, but it just, they're better than what the record shows by far.
Okay, Jake, I'm going to come to you. Heritage at Southern Wells, and we've talked a little bit about Southern Wells being a much better team than they've been in the past. Heritage is a bit of an enigma. I mean, they almost beat Adams Central one week, and then they get throttled 35-0 by Bluffton the next. Jackson started, buddy.
Yeah, and, the thing with Southern Wells that they've got 2 wins on this season. Pretty awesome in comparison to those 0-win years you had.
For sure.
And a lot of this comes with getting a coach to get the kids to believe in what you're doing and to start establishing your system. Awesome for them. And I always attribute Southern Wells a lot to Whitco. A lot of similarities. First of all, that there was family members that were head coaches of those programs for the longest time. But Southern Wells couldn't get it done for a couple of seasons. And now to come out with 2 wins, I think this is another situation where you're kind of playing with house money against Heritage. Heritage has been an enigma this season. And I think Southern Wells, obviously the underdog in this game, hey, throw the kitchen sink at them, man. It's late in the season. Why not pile on a 3rd win?
Yeah, playing at home.
Yep.
Heritage has not been dominant. This is a game, I agree, the Raiders could hang around. Heritage is starting a freshman quarterback. Ethan, there's a picture of him in game night. Ethan Weber, little brother of Lucas Weber.
Okay.
So good bloodlines there, but he's still a freshman. And so, they've kind of have a little bit of a revolving door down there under center this year with the injury to Zeb to Gulas earlier in the season. So I was shocked that they got beat as badly as they did a week ago. So I agree with you. This is I think maybe a winnable game for Southern Wells. We'll see.
Yeah. And especially, Heritage has played a couple of games super tough this year.
Yes, for sure. And Coach Blaker's done a nice job. All right, guys, you both can comment on this. I'm going to come to you first, Coach. Give us 2 minutes, Jackson. Garrett at Angola. This game really intrigues me. I don't know why, other than the fact that both these teams feel like they've done some good things this year. Angola, again, still can hang their hat on that win against DeKalb to start the season.
Yeah.
It's a quality win looking back. And then Garrett, a bit of an enigma. They're still struggling offensively, but they're pretty good on the defensive side. What are your thoughts, Coach?
Man, this is the story of Angola that I remember. It's like they always start the year really well, and lately they tend to seem to drop off. Whether they seem to
attrition
match, to match your competition.
Okay.
And they should have got out of that conference when they had the chance. I understand why they didn't, but you're the big hairy dude. You're everybody's Super Bowl every week.
Love big hairy dudes.
I know. I didn't shave for that reason. So really, that for this, Garrett, I think Angola's, you're going to get exactly what you get from Angola. They have a small roster, under 40 kids, no freshman team. So are they healthy? I don't know. If they're healthy, they're the better team. They have better top end talent. But Garrett, I think the defensive side of the ball is really, really good. Can the hefty kid at quarterback for Garrett? I know he's a sophomore. He's getting better. He's a little banged up. Can they sustain the run game?
Right.
Can they find congruity with their play calling? I think that's been a struggle too. So they're trying to search for identity without Depew calling offense, who has done it for, damn
Forever.
near 80 years.
Yeah.
The fact that he's still, is probably calling in the box right now.
He's like Father Time.
He
that
is.
guy.
So it just, you don't really know what you get out of this. If all's even, Angola should win, but I don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Jake, any thoughts?
Well, when we talked about Garrett last year, they always had one player that could just absolutely desecrate a game, which was Calder Hefty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this year, I think it's Hawk Hasselman for Angola, and I think he's the difference. He's a senior this year. Finally,
Lord,
seems like
he's been there since the Obama.
It feels like
Yeah.
he's been there forever.
He seems
But-
like he's just
So
been there
many
forever.
Hasselmans.
He's a
Yeah.
player, and I think that he's going
He
to
is a
be just
player.
that little bit to elevate him over the top.
Okay. All right. Next page, Jackson. Real quick, guys. I want to give a shout out to Mike Barber again. Normally our sponsor for the Snake page, but
Love you,
we
Mike.
called an audible this week. So we threw in the standings, which is appropriate because I think all the conferences are pretty much wrapping up this week. We talked already about Northrop controls its own destiny. If they win, they're champs. Dwinger is big fans of the Carroll Chargers, which cracks me up. The Northeast State, of course, I think East Noble is clearly going to get that done with their schedule, New Haven and Belmont these last 2 weeks. And then, of course, the big matchup in the ACAC between Adams Central and Bluffton. So when we reconvene next week, everybody, all this will be decided. Yes.
One thing I wanted to say real quick to shout out Mike while I was thinking about this. He runs the X, the Twitter for it's Leo Lyons Facebook remix, or Leo Lyon FB football remix. Check that out because he does something really neat that a lot of teams should do.
It's cool.
If you've got a dad or a parent, somebody should do this for every team. He tracks every player in the last 4 or 5 years that have played at Leo, what college they're at, and what TV station or what viewing
And
network you
who
can
they
watch,
played
and who they play
the
if they're on a
following
bye
week.
week to week, all season long. So it's outstanding. So you can see, hey, West Virginia with Landon Livingston is playing,
Such and
whoever,
such. Well, and it's in a grid form.
and it's in a good.
so
Very
you
cool.
can click on it, and it's
Yes.
I mean, it's really slick. So
Yes.
it's got all the opponents as good guys,
Yes.
bad guys, and you're right. I'm glad you gave that a shout out because every week when he puts that out, Jake, I click on it, and there have been some great, I call them intra Leo, matchups like Ohio earlier in the year against
Yes.
West Virginia, and then there's been the Rutgers with DJ Allen,
DJ
and
Allen,
I mean, yes, good call.
Very
out.
cool.
Yeah, and I would like to see more of that from some of the other programs. Pete, you should do that for DeKalb. Not
I'm
that
retired.
you're
I have a full-time job, 3 kids, and now I'm a dance dad.
well, and now you're coming out of the
yeah.
cave every
God.
few weeks. Yeah.
I got a power lifter, a kid that runs miles now, apparently, and then
Yes.
and a dancer.
All right. Then
Yeah.
you can recruit somebody to do it. How's
No
that?
kidding. I'm gonna go under the bridge in Butler trying to make another buck. So
Real quick shout out on the next page, if you would, Jackson. I got a text from my buddy Joey McDonald, who is literally, I think, our biggest fan. He watches every show. He says, any chance you can tonight make an announcement for big brothers and big sisters, they are in need. This is all caps. Of 38 men who are willing to go read to an elementary school class about 6 times this school year and all over the area. Again, you can put this on your list, Pete. Now,
Define
can I
the area.
read game night? That's the question. Can I
Yeah.
just sit and read like page, word after word of game night? If so, sign me up. No. I'm just kidding, Joey. But shout out to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. If you can volunteer your time and help out with that pursuit, give them a call. And who knows? Maybe I'll come out with
hey, Miss Libby's my
some game
muse,
night.
man.
who is?
Miss Libby, the dog, the cat, the
Oh
kid.
yeah.
Yeah, come on.
That's a go-to.
There's a good
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. All right, next page, and then you can go ahead and text Jeff. Oh, Jeff's on. Oh, I see Jeff. You're very patient. All right.
He's been on for like 20 minutes.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. I don't know. My eyes aren't that good. All right, Jeff, we're getting to you. Thank you for your patience. Leaders board, real quick. We talk about this every week. These races are going to be so much fun. Jaden Rivers still seems like the guy that's going to have that, but right on his heels, the Freisinger from Carroll, Cal from Northrop, the rushing. I think Nate Foster probably, pun intended, runs away with that. Especially if he stays healthy and Leo keeps winning. The receiving is just spectacular, and Jaden Van Pelt is the real deal. So excited for that matchup tomorrow night against Northrop. All right, let's move on to the smoke real quick. Guys, we have a new number one. The Northrop Brooms, for the first time ever, have ascended to the very peak of Mount Swami, and had to punish East Noble. Just dropped them down. The Swami is so disrespectful sometimes to the Knights. And then Bishop Dwenger at 3, Carroll 4, Leo 5, Adams Central and Bluffton both move up a notch, and the DeKalb Barons move up to number 8 at 5-2. Guys, real quick, any thoughts on that?
I'm confused because the Swami
Don't be
isn't
confused.
Casey.
No, he's not.
Casey's picture is at the top.
It looks
of the-
like
That's
he
interesting.
kind of looks like me, just a little bit.
So Casey,
And that's a cigar. Is that what?
That's a
dictated?
cigar,
Those are
yeah.
cigars,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, just wanted
Yeah.
to-
the dogs,
and the dogs-
are 21. We figured out.
Yeah, the dogs are of
Um,
age, so we're not.
So I
promoting
learned a
anything.
new term at practice today from our kids. So apparently the Swami is glazing Northrop, just obsessed with Northrop.
There's some glazage.
Some glazing going on to
Okay.
Northrop. So
That might be
yeah, that's the,
inappropriate, but okay.
no, it's apparently appropriate.
Oh,
I hope
God.
not. Okay.
East Noble at 2 blows my mind. I don't know how the 7-0 Knights who have just taken care of business are behind Northrop, but I get it. 6A football, 4A
Swami
football.
said
it is.
that the NE8
We
is
would
down
call-
this year.
We would call that.
That's what he said.
I think everything's down
that
this
dis?
year.
Is that
Yes,
a diss?
Yeah, yeah, you can call it this. Yeah, dis.
What about DeKalb? I mean, it's an opportunity for you to, glaze on the Barons.
You know
Can
what?
you glaze
I
them?
just- as that was walk silently and carry a big stick. So
Nice.
We'll
I
just,
like that.
We'll just sit back at what is that 8?
That's a nice
Just, hey,
position, right?
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna show up, win, and move forward. Like that's all you can ever do. And
Okay.
what other people think doesn't really give a damn. So, but
like
hey,
it.
so what? Yeah, East Noble dropping to Northrop to 6-1. I would call we would being from outside of the bubble of Allen County
Mhm.
like you are, we just consider that as a we just got the elevator, nuts and bolts. We got screwed. So it doesn't surprise me in any such way that a Fort Wayne guy is picking a Fort Wayne team.
No. It's the Swami. He's like,
Swami's a Fort
I'm not
Wayne
even
guy.
sure where he's from. He's kind of out in the ether
Oh,
somewhere. So don't.
Apparently, the ether is what he's been
Don't-
smoking because that's
Please
Apparently the ether is somewhere in
It's
Allen County.
somewhere
because
rolled
it's-
in that stogie of his. All right. Let's
Michigan,
get out of
apparently.
that. We'll come back and do our picks here in a minute, but let's bring in Jeff Mahoney from Summit City Sports. Jeff,
We're never going
Sorry
to get invited
for-
back.
sorry for holding you. I see you now. Now you're in full color. There he is.
Jeff, let's
welcome to
go,
the program.
baby. It's
What
good to
in the
see you,
hell am I
brother.
listening
Jeff,
to?
get us back on the rails here, man. We have fallen off the rails.
Yeah, well, Casey, I heard you guys talking about hairy men, so I went to the bathroom to go shave real quick.
I know. I look at him. I've never seen him without a stash.
I know the stash is
You
gone. It
look
looks
lighter.
great.
I can't believe it. I
Yeah,
missed
that was the
stash.
idea, looking lighter.
Well, let's. I know, Jeff, you're doing the Carroll Northrop game. This is a huge matchup out at Spuller Stadium. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that we talk Carroll Northrop for a potential SAC championship for the big guys? And here we are. Northrop controls their own destiny. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, wow, to think it would be their first conference championship since 1977. Is that what I saw? Is that correct?
Did they win in '99? Because I feel like didn't Snyder have 2 losses that year? I think they did.
Yeah,
And I could be
thought
wrong.
Snyder had won it in '99, but either way, it has been a great season for Northrop, and they're learning how to win, and they're learning how to win the tough games. And I think that started in the second quarter over there at Homestead when they got down quickly, 13-0, and then ended up taking Sparty into overtime. And boy, if you just look at it on its face, Homestead beats Northrop in overtime, 42-36, and Carroll beats Homestead 49-0. That's with 2 pick sixes in that game. So looking at it like that, it should be an easy win for Carroll, but I don't think so. I mean, Northrop's starting to kind of feel themselves, if you will, and they don't need Quay Guilford to have a Quay 5-star type of game for Northrop to win. He demands a lot of attention. We saw that in the Dwenger game where they had a corner manned up on him and a safety right over the top. So, and in that game, they did try to force the ball to Quay a few times, but to be honest with you, they can get Maddox Weil underneath on those routes for some big gainers. So it's going to be a fun one. It should definitely be fireworks at Spooler Stadium, as you know, they're having a great crowd there. The home crowd is outstanding. The atmosphere at Northrop takes you back to the 90s.
Well, speaking of the 90s, I looked it up, Jeff. You were right. So that year, Snyder lost to Wayne, but Wayne had 2 regular season losses. So Snyder, Northrop, yeah, you're right. It had to go back to the 70s since their last SAC championship. They avenged that loss in the sectional, did the Matt Stinson-led Bruins in 99, 24-14. And then they hadn't won in 27 matchups, which is remarkable. Talk a little bit about just, I guess, the magic that they've got going on out there. Jake spoke to it earlier, to kind of exercise those demons and beat Snyder at quote unquote Snyder Spooler Stadium in Snyder's last ever, home game against their rival. That was pretty cool environment and pretty significant for the Bruins. What are your just overall thoughts on Northrop in general?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you brought D. Hogue over from Bishop Lures, I mean, he is just a game changer. We saw that in the first play from scrimmage against Dwenger when he rattled off that 67-yard run, Casey, where I think he broke maybe 7 tackles on that play. It just seems he's the type of guy that can quietly get the rest of the guys focused. And that's what they are. They're focused. They're playing clean football games, and they're getting it done, in all 3 levels, most notably, offense and defensive side of the ball. But their 2 edge rushers, Cornelius Jackson, who's a senior at 5'11", 220.
Number 33.
Big, stout kid and really, really athletic. And then Emma Doby, who goes 6'3", 200, only a junior. Remember, this is his first year of football, and already he's got all kinds of looks. But those guys cause a lot of havoc. And with that 3-3 stack defense of theirs, D. Hogue, for the most part, is another linebacker for you. Another guy who produces like that is Lenny Underwood, who's only a sophomore at 5'10", 150. But Lenny's 4th on the team with 45 tackles and has 7 tackles for a loss. So I really like this defense. And, obviously with Don Larray, Reese Jr. and Davion Surrey to go with Hogue and both the Underwood.
Anthony Harris.
I mean,
yep.
Yeah, Anthony Harris. I mean, Anthony Harris is like 6'2".
They're loaded.
He's a big guy. Well, he goes 6 foot 175 on the roster, but I think he's even bigger than that. Those guys combined with 7 interceptions on the season.
Folks, if you're just now tuning in, we've got Jeff Mahoney from Summit City Sports with our SCS check-in. Jake the Snake, you got a question for Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, I love your analysis in these big games like this. So we were talking earlier, for Carroll to be able to capitalize in this game, they've struggled in the run game this year. What do you think Coach Poppy can do to help get the ground game going, or maybe something in the quick game? What do you think the kryptonite is to attack this Northrop defense?
Yeah, I mean, just straight up the gut. That's what Dwenger did with A.J. Shefferly. The runs to the outside, I mean, like I said, those edge guys are really, really athletic, and they're able to turn plays in. Those quick hitters, inside the gaps, in between the tackles, seem to be what Dwenger did best against Northrop. And Dwenger did average over 4 yards a carry against the Bruins. So, Asher Wagner, you got to love the guy. I mean, he is built like a I mean, he's the real deal for being
he's their touchdown maker in the red zone. I mean, they force feed him the ball. He gets a lot of touchdowns.
But yet, coming into this game, who would have ever thought that Carroll's averaging like 2.3 yards per rush on the season? I think Homestead's right around 3.3 yards per rush on the season. So I do think Carroll's going to be able to have an over 4 yards a carry game in this one. I don't know if you're going to see any home run hitters, But I think with Asher Wagner, you can grind it out. And I think they're going to need to, against this defense, get the run established.
Well, for sure, Jeff. And, it's such a compelling matchup. You think about the secondary strength of Northrop, and then Carroll wanting to throw the ball the way that they do. You got Jaden Van Pelt, out on both sides of the ball. You've got Quay Guilford on his way to Ohio State. I mean, this is just a matchup made in heaven. I'm so looking forward to seeing Van Pelt presumably locking up against Quay Guilford when Northrop has the ball. And then on the other side of the ball, I assume D. Hogue will probably be guarding Jaden Van Pelt when Carroll has the ball. What are your thoughts on just that dynamic between some of those playmakers?
I mean, and it's not only that, it's look at our passers, with Gabe Freisinger and Callison. I mean, both of those guys are in the top 10 in the state. Actually, I think Callison's right around number 12 in the state. Both of them are behind Jaden Rivers by about 100 yards. But absolutely, I mean, you have the makings for some really fun, exciting offensive football. I don't see many home run plays in this game. Who's going to be able to stay consistent with completing the passes, or most notably on the defensive side of the ball, who's going to step up with an interception or a forced fumble or that big play where, the defense might be able to put 6 on the board. Certainly on both sides with Carroll and Northrop. I mean, they've got the players to get it done. Defensively at Carroll, obviously, they're led by Eli Newhouser, who was first-team all-conference last year as a at-large selection, but that was a really good linebacker class last year in the SAC. Newhouser goes 6'3", 230 pounds. And then Lincoln Grabner is another guy. He had a 23-yard interception return for a touchdown against Homestead. So they have big-time players on the defensive side at Carroll, too. So, you really feel like if there's any kind of fireworks type of plays, they might be on defense. I think whoever can stay consistent offensively, it'll be interesting to see if maybe Quay can break one in this game.
Well, and let's not forget about special teams. This could be one of those games. There could be a defining player or two in special teams. I think Northrop's special teams have improved vastly. They had the big return against Bishop Dwenger a couple of weeks ago that turned the tide in that game. Corbin Dempsey is just a tremendous kicker for the Carroll Chargers. If it comes down to the kicking game, I think I give Carroll a slight edge there. What are your thoughts there, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. Dempsey is right behind Lucas Nguyen. Last year, they both were, 1 and 2 in all conference. Now, Dempsey's only a junior. He goes 6'4", 180, so he's a big guy, but he's already got a long of 44 on the season. So he's hit 4 of 5 field goal attempts. So I would absolutely have to agree with you there. Carroll's going to feel comfortable right around that 30-yard line and in to kick those field goals. And unfortunately, I don't think Northrop has that luxury. But Northrop, I think, does have the advantage in the return game. And most notably, once again, it's D. Hogue. Whenever he gets his hands on the ball, he just seems to make things happen. And I don't think Dempsey is going to allow D. Hogue to return it. I could see him with a lot of touchbacks on the season. He has 19 touchbacks out of 31 kickoffs. So that just goes to show you he can pretty much do it whenever he wants. But I would think that they're going to try to kick away from Hogue, which means one of the up men, one of those being Davion Surrey.
Yeah, Surrey's pretty good in his own right.
No doubt about it. And, are they going to keep Surrey in the punt return game, or do they add Hogue to that as well? I mean, there's a lot on the line right here. When you're talking about an SAC championship for Northrop, this could be the year they get their first sectional title since 1999.
They would have to words right out of my mouth, Jeff,
again to make that happen.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, there's that compulsion also where do you throw the kitchen sink at your opponent, because that you're going to see them here in a few weeks in the sectional 3, I believe. There's only 4 teams in there. Sectional 2, yep. Thank you. And let's make no bones about it. It's going to be Northrop or Carroll more than likely coming out of that sectional. So really compelling matchup, but you also want to make sure if you can get an SAC championship for your program, it's a defining moment, especially for Northrop. So you got to put your best foot forward. It's going to be a great matchup. Jeff, in closing, couple minutes, what are a couple other games that you want to maybe mention that Summit City is covering tomorrow night?
Well, Cherubusco at West Noble, it really has been special going to the Busco games this year. You know, they got the diesel trucks out there for, you know, the kids to run out on the field, but great environment, and they travel. I had one of my guys out at the Lakeland game getting some video, and the Busco stands were packed. So absolutely,
How's the
that's gonna
food
be
out
some
there,
fun.
Jeff? That's the question. Is the food good?
It's the pork burger.
Oh,
They have pork,
yeah,
right?
they got the pork
pork burger
burgers
in the
too.
state.
It's
Oh, I love
amazing. We
pork
didn't
burgers.
even have to leave the top of the press box, and they brought us up one of those burgers. Didn't have any condiments on there, and they were amazing.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Another game or two you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, you know, Northside at Homestead. This has been a fun game in the past. You think of, you know, Tay's game at Homestead, where that one went, I think it was the last game, went to about 10 o'clock at night. Snyder at Dwenger, the best rivalry game in Northeast Indiana throughout the history of football. Man, I agree with you guys. It's just going to be tough for Snyder against that vicious defense and AJ Shefferly running the ball along with Colin Campbell. But I like Southside at Concordia. I mean, what a year Southside has had. When you look at
Yes.
Moon and Javon Irby and Devin Patterson, what he's been able to do. Murphy also throwing the ball there, but they're just an exciting team, and they're not going to back down from anybody. And they've had some big wins this year. So I really like that one. And then Wayne at Lures, you know, just a tough year, obviously, for Coach in his first season over there with the Generals. But, man, Darion is a great, great guy. We know him very well from his time at Lures and his time with Traction AP and AWP before that. So a lot of fun games, you know, in the NE8. You guys were talking about Huntington North, and I 100% agree with you. Remember, Huntington North really had Northrop in week number 2. They ended up losing the game 31-23 when their starting quarterback went out, Janes. But he's back, and they are really, really good. Now, they got Norwell and New Haven left, but their losses are Leo, DeKalb, and East Noble in the NE8. So you're talking about the 3 best teams right there, along with one of the best stories in Northeast Indiana with DeKalb. And the Bluffton Adams Central game, how can you not love that one? Coach Kunkel's been trying to notch that win, it seems like, for the last 4 years because Bluffton's been so good. And it just has gotten away from them. If they're able to pull that one off, I mean, every week has been super exciting, but week 8 could be the best of all of them.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you, Jeff, for joining us. We'll be tuning into your game and a few others on SummitCitySports.com tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you,
We'll
guys.
see you, buddy.
Take care.
All right, guys, let's get into the picks. You ready? I mean, I don't know how the Swami does it. I think he was 21-1 on winners last week. He was just ridiculous. 4 games within a single point, including one right on at Notre Dame. We're going to do the featured matchups, and then I'm going to let you guys pick a couple from the undercard. I'm going to toggle back and forth. 15, 20 seconds per game as you comment. Jake the Snake, Swami, Carroll at Northrop. Swami says Carroll by 7.
That's what it's going to be, but I'm taking Northrop by 1. They got to get this title.
What does that
man.
mean? You just said that's so.
I'm so confused.
You're like John Kerry, total flip flopper.
No. I'm taking Carroll by 7, but I want Northrop to win.
Oh,
I want the upset. I'm
okay.
rooting for Northrop in this game. Yeah, Carroll's
Oh.
going to beat them, but I want Northrop.
You think
win.
7 feels about right?
Yeah, it feels definitely.
Like, what are you thinking? Like 28-21, 24-17? That would involve field goals. I don't see
I think,
that.
I don't know. Yeah,
21-14.
28, 21, something like that.
Okay. How about you, Pete?
Carroll runs the ball just well enough.
Do they cover that?
They cover
How much? 10 to 14.
Yeah.
So close competitive game. I think we all
Yeah, I
agree. great matchup and great for the city of Fort Wayne, I think. All right,
Yep.
coming back to you, Pete Kemp, Northside at Homestead. Swami has Homestead by 8.
I think Homestead rebounds and wins this. And I think if I'm picking, I think Northside's the favorite in this game.
Are you taking the points?
I'm
Northside in the points?
No, I'm taking Homestead to cover. I think I'm again rooting for Zolman, rooting for Billy. I think I'm rooting for them in this game personally.
Okay.
So I'm going to take
So
them.
you're a homer for
I'm
Homestead.
an NHC homer.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I just, you know what? I think they're really well coached. Homestead's really young. I love those guys. They do Metzel. They all do a great job. So it's going to be a great game. But if I'm just going to have to pick, and you're forcing me to pick, you're
I am
forcing my
forcing you,
leg. So
yeah.
I'm going to take Homestead and the
Okay.
points.
Snake.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with the roller coaster season Homestead had after getting beat down, they're going to
going
climb
up
right
now?
back up.
They're going up now.
They're going up.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a 35-27 type game, something like that. But I think Homestead wins. But I do think it's close. All right, Jake, coming back to you. Snyder at Bishop Dwinger. Swami says Dwinger by 19.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yes,
You think they cover that?
for sure.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah.
That spread started a little higher. It was at 24.
This is a
went
very-
down to 21, and the Swami settled at 19.
Yeah, I think 19's fine. They're gonna cover that. So here's the thing. Usually in the early part of the season, I'm saying how Snyder's gonna get upset. They're gonna get upset. Now I'm saying later in the season with the data that we have here, I think that Dwinger's gonna be able to pound the rock. I think they're gonna be able to even open it up in the air a little bit. The defense is absolutely tight. They're better in special teams. I think they cover.
Coach, it feels like to me that's a lot of points in this with this matchup. Just because Dwinger runs the ball so much, Snyder's
you-
gonna have to run the ball. You would think it's going to be a quick
quicker
game.
game.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
All the data points to a much bigger Dwenger win.
Yes.
Both Saccharin, the SoCal, you look at all of the points of that. It's hugely emotional because this is the premier. You take Homestead and Carroll out of it, but when you look at you have North Side, South Side, Northrop, Snyder a little bit.
No, this is the
rivalry. I mean, but
Yep.
you take Dwenger Lures too, and the Catholic
Yeah.
thing. But we're all
Being a
Central
Dwenger
Catholic.
guy, I can tell you, Snyder. Yeah, it's much more.
Yeah, we're all Central Catholic fans around here. Let's just not forget
Sure,
that.
I love the
so.
CC.
So I think this is the rivalry. I just think Snyder has too much outside influence to overcome to make it a truly meaningful season. I think they'll be back with a vengeance next year. They're probably playing young guys. I don't know what the entire situation is, but
You think Dwenger covers?
I
or
think
no?
Dwenger covers.
Okay.
I think it's a 20.
You know,
28.
CC, their nickname was the Irish. You know,
Oh,
that,
I
right?
do. Absolutely.
All right. Coach, coming back to you. Columbia
Yep.
City at Leo. Swami says Leo by 16. Is that a tough one?
I
Feels tough.
think this one's tougher than people give it credit for. If you gave me 14, I'm taking the over all day.
Mhm.
I really hope Columbia City makes this a game. I hope they can stick through it for the first 2 quarters. Because they do, then I think
That's
they have
that
a
extra
shot to
2
win.
points kind of.
It does, but I just think Leo's going to throw the ball just enough to open it up for Foster to average maybe 52 yards a carry.
Got to
instead of
take
48.
somebody against the spread.
I-
You love point. Do you
I
think
like the
Leo?
points. I think Leo wins by 3. Buddies
Okay.
running
How about
away
you?
with it, running away at the end.
What do you think, buddy?
I was slightly off last week with Columbia City getting the running clock. Luckily, it didn't happen to us the other way. However, I'm not going to disrespect Leo Helmet because I love the Lions and the Lions fans love me. However,
Was that Jake's helmet? Is that what he said?
we will get that.
Did you just block him?
yeah,
Was that a
we just-
block?
We just blocked them out.
It was like an eclipse
Columbia
over there.
City and the upset special this week, not by 35. We just win by 3. The Eagles get it done by 3.
Eagles not
Book
only cover, but they win. So you got a 16-point lead.
Eagles
You're
are
kinda
winning.
good.
The Columbia City Eagles are winning this game. We hold Foster to under 150, 1 touchdown, and we just grind it out.
Somebody get this guy a mute button.
He's in the ether too.
All right, Adams. All right, Jake, coming back to you. Adams Central at Bluffton. I think the game of the week. We got great games, but this is the one that I'm most interested in. Swami says Adams Central by 7. Who do you like?
I'm going right back to my Carroll Northrop. Yes, Adams Central is going to cover those points, but I am rooting for Bluffton. Come on, Tigers. Get it done. Make it happen.
Change the script.
We need
Rewrite
this.
things a little bit.
We
Well,
need this.
It's a great matchup. Again, I told you guys there's this a vibe down with that community. It's going to be so much fun. Coach, your thoughts?
Adams Central lives rent free in that entire conference's head.
For sure.
I don't see that changing.
Okay. It's hard to bet against the champ.
It is.
It just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. It's
But
just-
there's also this, you look at the scores, you like the
Yeah.
Heritage game, both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, 14-7, Adams Central beat the Patriots, and then Bluffton just throttled Heritage last week. 35.
Adams Central just runs something enough different that you got to do something special for it, and you prepare for it the entire offseason.
for sure.
But so you don't see it again until week 8.
Yeah, and they're going to
So-
be able to run the ball. They're going
Yeah.
to do what they do. But man, Bluffton at home with that passing game,
I agree.
the
I
two running backs, Cooper
holistically
Craig and
agree.
Kamel Moore. I mean, it just feels like they've got all the pieces to get it done this year. I think it's going to be a great matchup.
It is.
But I think AC wins it late.
Yeah, but it's the same thing like Columbia City Leo. Like the smart play is Leo taking Columbia City with the points. I just think that it's that late touchdown, that late like where that's going to bump it over.
Okay,
So-
coming right back to you, Coach. West Noble at Cherubusco.
Oh,
Swami says West Noble by 11.
my brain says Noble, my heart says Busco. I'm taking Busco in the points. I think going in there, I'm now the one in the ether inside the flight or with the diesel fumes
Yes.
up there. I'm going to stop down at the Sitting Bull on the way, like maybe get some,
Get some of that grub.
Get some. Oh, they have a really good buffalo chicken pizza.
What
Just
is it?
throw
A
out
pork
there.
burger they have?
At
no,
Busco.
So that's at Busco at the end. The Sitting Bull is an outstanding, and Liato on your way in.
Mm-hmm.
You got all kinds of eaters. You got the Magic Wand in Busco.
Magic
I know the wand,
for
yeah.
The wand is
breakfast.
great.
No,
but
there's
the
a place
Sitting
called
Bull's
the
great.
Sitting Bull. So
Sitting
next
Bull's
time
great.
you're hanging out with the Busco coaches, you just have them take you.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
I deserve like some free food. Speaking of, I want to shout out to B. Antonio's. How was the pizza? today?
Pizza was
great.
excellent.
Was
it
excellent
excellent?
as always.
Because I was going to say these other dives do not advertise
No,
on the show.
they don't have
So to hell with them.
Yeah,
To
true
hell
that.
with them. Right? Fair enough. Who do you like, Snake?
It blows my mind that every time I think I have some sort of statistical data that nobody else has, it's already in this thing.
Which you
So I literally, I'm not going to say where I heard this information from. That doesn't matter. But I heard this stat this morning: 106-0. The Chargers' combined score of beating Busco in their last two meetings,
Mhm.
and they know that. They're aware of that. Here I go again. Yeah, West
Those
Noble.
are ass beatings. Those aren't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're getting taken to the woodshed. But think about this: whoever wins this game is the all-outright conference championship. You got your
Oh,
big
wow.
school and small school conference champions.
Bragging rights.
This is the
Big time.
NECC Omega, right?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, West Noble's definitely going to win by more than 11, but I hope
my gosh.
I hope that
Oh.
Busco gets I'm rooting for the Eagles. I
Okay.
root for Whitley County. I call it Dub County because we're always looking for dubs. Quick shout out to Whitco. Coach Thomas Tyree, who will have an opportunity to take that program to 2 or 3 wins. I think they've still got Southwood and or
I
Northfield
need
on
a
their
helmet from
schedule.
him, and we need to get him in game night.
He's going to turn it around down there. They're going to win 2 or 3 wins this season. His first season as
Great shout
Whitco's.
out. Okay. 2 games
Whitco's.
each from the undercard. You can pick on campus if you want, but you can't pick the same games. Pete, I'm going to you first. What game do you like there on the undercard?
Oh, Notre Dame is the easy pick.
What, by more than 24?
Yeah.
Okay, you're done. Snake?
Yes,
Easy enough.
Warsaw over Northwood. And I'm going to say Warsaw's going to win that by 17 plus.
Oh, get out of town.
The Black Crunch is about to get chewed up. Do you know what?
Nitro Tuggle is actually going to play in that game. I don't know if you knew that.
Do
He
you-
still had
The Black Crunch is a cool nickname, but do you know what Warsaw's defense is called? The Black
the
Plague.
plague. It's the plague.
It's the Black Plague.
Black
That
Plague.
alone gets you.
I thought that was
17
their
points.
passing game.
Ugh.
Oh, sorry.
The 3
Did I say that?
Hey, the
Gosh.
3-3
Shame
stack
on
gets right in Warsaw tomorrow night. I agree with Jake. I
You think Warsaw gets it done?
Yep.
Man, they
Warsaw
just have
gets it
not
done.
played very well these last few weeks. They just
Do you think Bart Curtis cannot have them not playing well for more than a week or two?
fair enough.
Yes.
That's a good point. All right, I'm
Look at
coming
that.
back to you, Pete.
All right.
One more game.
Oh
from-
boy.
that caught your
Um,
attention.
I mean, we talked about so many games. Really, Fairfield Lakeland is not one we haven't talked about.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a good. I think it's going to be a close game. I think going to Lakeland, the Fighting Wogies win that game by 7.
They cover it. They win
cover.
by more
They-
than
they
7.
win by 7.
All right.
I know in the gambling world it's a push, but for you it's a loss. I think this game's a 7-point
Swami
push.
makes the rules. How
Swami
about you,
makes the
Jake?
rules. It's all about the ether.
Prairie Heights Fremont by 15. I think it's going to be more than that heavy run game with Carmine Moreno. I'm going to
Yep.
say Fremont by 24.
The
The
casino
Battle of
stays
Northern
open.
Steuben County.
I saw
Did-
great
Walburn
shout
late.
there.
It's-
Walburn
it's
stays
Walburn.
open like
Speaking of Joe, we're going to get you back down in the cave hopefully next week. And he's watching with his Cowboys boots on. Yeah, he's probably sitting there in his undies, flexing in the mirror, watching
Now,
the
I
show.
thought Walburn was a Southside guy.
Well, he kind of is, but he's all over the place.
So he's a South Side alum, but he has stock in Prairie Heights.
yeah.
He actually coined a phrase of them. I think he might have actually.
Heights.
You might have stock in the school.
Yeah. Well, and also he won $4,000 at the Fremont Casino.
The Fremont
so
Casino. Yeah.
Oh,
there's the reference there. All right.
And there is fun things to happen in Brushy Prairie.
No, there's a lot going on up there. All right. Well, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming down to
Absolutely.
the cave, Jackson. Thank you. For Jackson, for Jake, for Coach Pete Kempf, and of course, Jeff Mahoney from Summit City Sports. I am Casey O'Boyle. Thanks for tuning in. Get out and watch some games tomorrow night or check them out on summitcitysports.com. We'll see you next week, everybody.